The anticipation for Battlefield 6 has been massive. After the rocky launch and reception of its predecessor, the developers have been vocal about listening to the community and delivering a game that truly recaptures the magic of classic Battlefield titles like 3 and 4. Early whispers, leaks, and even just the general sentiment seem to point towards a return to form, a true successor that could reignite the franchise's glory. This excitement was palpable, translating into impressive pre-order numbers and topping sales charts even before a full gameplay reveal. The promise of refined core mechanics, potentially a return to the beloved 64-player format, and a focus on delivering a polished experience had fans cautiously optimistic, eager to jump back into large-scale warfare. However, as with any highly anticipated title, the closer we get to launch, the more details emerge. And sometimes those details aren't always what the community hoped for. In a recent Q&A session, reported by GNN, a key piece of information has surfaced that has sparked debate and concern amongst fans. Battlefield 6 will be utilizing AI-controlled bots to fill multiplayer lobbies when there aren't enough human players. Now, while the concept of bots in multiplayer isn't entirely new to the first-person shooter genre, or even the Battlefield series itself, remember the implementation in 2042, its return in this context has raised some serious questions and reignited a long-standing point of contention within the gaming community. According to the report, Battlefield 6's development director, Anna Narovic, confirmed this implementation, stating that AI will step in to populate servers that aren't at full capacity. Following up on this, gameplay designer Jack Carlson offered a slightly different perspective, suggesting that the Portal mode, with its customizable experiences, could serve as a training ground for newer players, potentially lessening the reliance on bots in the main multiplayer modes as a means of lowering the barrier to entry. While Carlson's comment hints that the bot implementation might not be as pervasive as in some other titles, the initial confirmation by Narovic has still left a significant number of fans feeling uneasy. The core issue here isn't necessarily the existence of AI in games. Bots can serve various useful purposes, from providing offline practice to filling out single-player experiences. The controversy stems specifically from their integration into the core multiplayer experience of a large-scale, competitive shooter like Battlefield. The primary concern, and one that has been voiced loudly by communities like the Call of Duty fanbase following Warzone Mobile's implementation of bots, is the potential for a diluted and ultimately less satisfying gameplay experience. Many players argue that matches with a significant number of AI opponents can feel unbalanced, predictable, and lacking the genuine challenge and emergent moments that arise from playing against human players with their unpredictable strategies and varying skill levels. Lopsided victories against primarily bot teams can feel hollow and unrewarding, and the feeling of being surrounded by non-sentient entities can break the immersion and competitive spirit that many players seek in online multiplayer. Carlson's point about Portal offering a training environment is interesting, but it doesn't fully address the core concern. While a dedicated training mode is undoubtedly beneficial for onboarding new players, the worry is that bots in the main multiplayer lobbies will become a crutch, artificially inflating player counts and potentially hindering the organic growth of matches filled with real human competitors. The ideal scenario for most players is to join a server with a healthy population of fellow humans, all vying for victory and creating those intense, memorable Battlefield moments. The prospect of encountering numerous AI opponents, even if it means quicker matchmaking, is a trade-off that many are hesitant to accept. Narovic's justification for the bot implementation centers around the goal of allowing as many players as possible to play at once. This is an understandable objective, especially considering the potential for server population fluctuations, particularly in the early morning hours or in regions with smaller player bases. The rumored return to 64-player matches, down from the 128-player chaos of the previous installment, might indeed alleviate some of the pressure to fill massive servers. Smaller player counts inherently require fewer individuals to reach a full state. However, the fact that bots are being considered even in the context of potentially smaller matches suggests a proactive approach to population management that some fear could become too aggressive. The ambition of reaching 100 million Battlefield 6 players is certainly a lofty one. If EA manages to achieve this goal, the reliance on bots might indeed become less frequent, with a large and active player base naturally filling the servers. However, relying on a future projection to justify a potentially unpopular current design choice is a gamble. What happens if the player base, while still significant, doesn't quite reach that monumental figure? Will players then find themselves consistently battling AI opponents in their multiplayer matches? This is the crucial uncertainty that hangs over this announcement. Ultimately, the success or failure of this bot implementation will hinge on its execution. How prevalent will the bots be? What will their AI be like? Will they be easily distinguishable from human players, breaking immersion? Will they contribute meaningfully to the match? Or will they simply serve as cannon fodder? These are the critical questions that remain unanswered. The fear within the community is that an over-reliance on bots, even with the intention of ensuring quick matchmaking, could detract from the core Battlefield experience, the intense, strategic, and unpredictable battles against human adversaries. The initial excitement surrounding Battlefield 6 was built on the promise of a return to form, a focus on delivering a high-quality, authentic Battlefield experience. The inclusion of a controversial feature like widespread bot implementation risks undermining that goodwill and potentially alienating a significant portion of the player base. Only time will tell how this decision will truly impact the game's long-term perception and success. So, what are your thoughts on this announcement? Are you concerned about the inclusion of bots in Battlefield 6's multiplayer? Do you think it's a necessary evil to ensure populated lobbies, or do you believe it could negatively impact the core gameplay experience? Let us know your opinions and predictions down in the comments below. We're eager to hear your perspective on this potentially game-changing decision. And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Battlefield 6 news, analysis, and in-depth discussions, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll be covering all the developments leading up to launch and beyond. Thanks for watching.